The film opens with a woman named Camilla, locked up somewhere in a dark room, tied up and screaming for help. Irritated by her screams, her captor walks in and electrocutes her with a makeshift device to punish her. The movie then cuts to two best friends, Stephanie and Ellie, cycling across the countryside of Argentina, unaware of a missing persons poster that displays the name Camilla. They stop by a small town and happen upon a local who is cleaning a shrine of what looks like a series of missing people. With her subpar Spanish, Stephanie asks for directions to a hotel named Jose Maria. The women arrive at their hotel and check in for their one-night reservation. Apparently, they're planning to catch a bus to another city so they can fly back to the US the next morning. Upon checking in, they are assisted by a worker at the hotel, who's a bit of a creep. Stephanie's just chillin', waiting for Ellie to finish up in the bathroom, when out of nowhere, she hears a knock on her door. After checking in and cleaning themselves up, the two women head to a bar in town, where Ellie scolds Stephanie for still responding to her ex. All of a sudden, a waitress serves them drinks, and tells them that a couple of men at the bar bought the drinks for them, but they don't seem to be interested. A little while later, a blonde man enters the bar, and Stephanie constantly checks him out. Being a good wing woman, Ellie goes to the jukebox, and starts dancing to get the mood going. Meanwhile, the blonde man Stephanie was checking out appears to get into an argument with the bartender, and heads to the bathroom. Surprisingly, Ellie goes after him, and starts flirting with him, but he coldly shuts her down. Not wanting to let this ruin her night, Ellie goes up to the man who bought them drinks, and starts flirting with him, while Stephanie, who is an introvert, ends up going home alone. By the end of the night, Ellie ends up bringing the guy back to their hotel, while Stephanie simply sighs as Ellie's shenanigans makes it very hard for her to go to sleep. In the heat of the moment, the man tries to convince Ellie to come home with him, but Ellie is reluctant. Not able to take no for an answer, he starts manhandling her, sending Stephanie to the rescue. The man, pissed cause his good times are messed up, keeps banging on their hotel door, all mad and shit. All of a sudden, the blonde man from the bar who happens to be staying at the same hotel, steps in, before they get interrupted by the hotel's employee. In the morning, as it turns out the two women overslept, and are late for the bus that only came once a day, resulting in them trying to chase it with their bicycles to no avail. As there's not going to be any other bus for a while, they return to the hotel and book another flight. In the meantime, Stephanie asks the receptionist for activities to do around town, but Ellie appears to be too hungover to do anything. The receptionist then excuses herself when the creepy man walks in with a serious look, and asks her to talk privately. Paying this no mind, the two girls end up cycling out to a place called Villa del Lago, which the receptionist previously advised them not to go to. There, they pull up by a waterfall, and bask under the sun. A little while later, Stephanie tells her best friend it's time to go, but Ellie is not ready to leave just yet, and thinks Stephanie doesn't know how to have fun. Offended, Stephanie brings up about how Ellie was being uncool at the bar last night for following the blonde guy to the bathroom, even though Stephanie eyed him first. Ellie apologizes and insists nothing happened, but the two women end up arguing anyway, with Ellie calling her out for still being hung up on her ex-boyfriend who cheated on her. Stephanie shoots back by telling Ellie that Ellie's not equipped to hand out relationships advice, because she's never actually been in one. With that, Stephanie walks away, leaving Ellie alone by the waterfall. As Stephanie cycles away from the premises, she thinks about turning back, but decides to start pedaling to the next tourist spot they initially planned on visiting together. On the other side of town, Ellie is still lying on the same spot as before, clueless to the fact that she's being watched. She texts Stephanie, apologizing for what she said, and asks to have lunch together. But just as Ellie gets up to get dressed, a figure approaches her. Afterwards, Stephanie goes to the restaurant they just agreed to have lunch at, and looks for Ellie, but doesn't find her there. She tries calling, but it goes straight to voicemail. Confused, she starts leading her bike away from the restaurant, when she runs into the blonde man from last night. He introduces himself as Michael, and offers to give her a lift, but she declines. She makes her way back to the waterfall in search of Ellie, and finds that Michael has followed her. Together, they search for Ellie, and try calling her, but instead only find Ellie's cell phone on the ground, and her bicycle gone. Michael finds drag marks on the ground, while Stephanie calls the police.
Good luck with that.
Moments later, a police officer named Calvo arrives, and he appears to know Michael. They lead him to the site, and show him pictures of Ellie. Calvo doesn't really seem all that surprised to hear about a tourist going AWOL in his area, since there's been mad cases of missing female tourists. After discovering that Stephanie and Ellie got into a fight recently, the police officer dismisses the case, and is sure that Ellie will come back soon. Regardless, Stephanie comes with the officer to the precinct, and asks him to write a missing person report. The officer then tells her that this is all he can do for now, and that he doesn't have the manpower to start a search party. But he promises to send the missing person report to the central police in the city if Ellie still hasn't returned by tomorrow. With no other choice, Stephanie heads out from the police station, and she goes around town to ask if anyone's seen her friend, but they merely ignore her. To her surprise, she comes across Chucho, the man who hooked up with Ellie the other night. However, he starts running, forcing Stephanie to trail after him, only to lose sight of him by a bridge. When she goes to retrieve her bicycle in desperation, it is now broken as someone has apparently tampered with the wheels. The girl continues on foot back to the hotel to find Ellie, but of course she isn't there. Seeing that Michael's hotel door is slightly ajar, she heads in and starts rummaging through his things. Surprisingly, she finds Ellie's bracelet there. In panic, she reports this to the sheriff, but yet again, he dismisses her. He promises to question Michael later, but doesn't seem to be taking Stephanie seriously. From afar, the hotel owner watches, and asks her what's wrong. She comforts the girl and asks her to come inside, while the creepy hotel employee watches not far from them. While inside the house, Stephanie sees Chucho driving a motorcycle. To begin the search, she decides to follow him with a stolen truck. After trailing Chucho for a long time, Stephanie loses track of him when he enters a closed area at the end of Argentina. There she opens the gates, and drives in what looks like the dilapidated remains of what used to be a town. As she goes to explore, a figure appears to be following her. It turns out to be Michael, who calms her down, and tells her that he's not trying to hurt her. And apparently, the bracelet in his room isn't Ellie's, but it belongs to his girlfriend, Camilla, who also went missing 6 months ago. The police have been no help, even though numerous women have been reported missing in the area. And so, he's been doing his own search. After learning this, the two agree to split up to look for clues. Meanwhile, in some tucked corner of town, Ellie wakes up and starts coughing in a musty room. Not long after, the sheriff arrives right where Stephanie parked her stolen truck, and finds Michael nearby. We could see that the sheriff seems irritated. He asks where Stephanie is, because she is wanted for stealing a car, which prompts Michael to throw shade at the sheriff for looking for a stolen car instead of a missing person. Hearing this, the sheriff sharply tells Michael to get in the car, wanting to question him about the bracelet. We're now back to Ellie, who's tied up in a room with none other than Chucho. With no other option, Ellie tries to seduce him. He takes the bait, but when she tries to fight back, he moves to rape her. Fortunately, they are interrupted by a phone call from Chucho's boss, forcing the man to stop and answer it. At the same time, Stephanie finds Chucho's motorcycle, and explores further. Not long after, she finds the building where Ellie is held hostage, and goes to switch off the electricity to get Chucho's attention. When the man goes to turn it back on, Stephanie accidentally knocks over a bicycle and cusses to herself. She immediately hides, while Chucho checks out the source of the noise, and then she sneaks toward Ellie. After reaching her best friend, she finds a knife to cut through Ellie's tape, and frees her just before Chucho realizes what's going on and chases after them. They then resume running into Stephanie's stolen truck, and lock the doors. As usual, they're gonna be shitting their pants and too freaked out to start the car, while Chucho bangs on the window. In panic, Stephanie tries to start the car to no avail. Their surroundings suddenly go dead quiet as the man disappears, only to return with a brick thrown at the windshield, shattering it. As the truck is a no-go, the two women exited and resume running, but Chucho manages to tackle Ellie to the ground, causing her to hit her head hard and begin to lose consciousness. Conveniently, Michael and the sheriff arrive, just in time to stop Chucho from attacking Stephanie, all the while Stephanie is crying as she realizes that Ellie has stopped breathing. Having none of Stephanie's cries, the sheriff tells her to wait inside the car, and the girl listens, but she soon realizes that something is amiss. Meanwhile, the sheriff creepily comments that it's such waste how Ellie is dead, because she was so attractive, which arouses Michael's suspicion. Without further ado, Michael snatches the sheriff's gun away and points it at him and Chucho, demanding him to confess where his girlfriend Camilla is. He asks the two to kneel, during which the sheriff unashamedly admits that he knows where Camilla is and that she is still alive, but if Michael kills him, he'll never find Camilla. The sheriff then offers a deal. He promises to return Camilla, but only if Michael lets the sheriff take Stephanie. With a heavy heart, Michael agrees. But just as he concedes, the sheriff takes the gun away and shoots Michael dead. Trapped inside the police car, Stephanie is taken hostage and taken to the sheriff's lair, where he reveals that he is a human trafficker and is about to sell Stephanie for $2,000, or perhaps $6,000 if she's a virgin. He then takes a phone call, and afterwards, tells Stephanie he's going to sell her to a business partner of his. Before they go, they sedate her and take her away on a boat in the night. In the middle of the ride, Stephanie wakes up and picks up a fish net, which she later uses to throw at Chucho, throwing him into the water and drowning him with the net. She then proceeds to plunge in herself, hiding underwater to loosen her binds and take them off while the sheriff searches with a flashlight. With all her might, Stephanie swims to the shore, where an old man awaits, who turns out to be none other than the sheriff's business partner. The two men talk business, with the hungry old man initially reluctant to buy Stephanie, because she looks like someone that other people would be searching for. But in the end, he agrees to buy her. Refusing to resign to her fate, Stephanie kicks him in the balls before running away. The sheriff goes after her, but is hesitant to shoot her because he needs her alive. At last, Stephanie comes across a man at a fishing dock, but the sheriff shoots him dead immediately. With nowhere to run, she hides under the table while the sheriff searches for her. When coast is clear, she comes out of hiding, only to have him ambush her. After a struggle, she manages to snatch the gun away from him and shoots him dead. Afterwards, she shakily gets up and walks until the sun rises. It's super early in the morning, and Stephanie spots a car zooming towards her. She's totally messed up after going through a bunch of awful stuff last night, so she grabs a medium-sized rock and gets ready to go all out on the driver of the car. But as it turns out, this truck belongs to a local policewoman, who goes to help her, and takes her to safety. And this is where the movie ends.